The early morning fog still covered the Special Operations military base like a thick blanket when Captain Elena Torres stepped off the Black Hawk helicopter. The rotor blades were still spinning, creating a vortex of wind that whipped her dark hair across her face. She didn't flinch. Her steps were firm and measured as her boots hit the concrete landing pad, but inside her heart was racing. Not from fear, but from a determination forged through years of fighting battles both on the field and within the system itself. At 35 years old, Elena carried more than just the standard military backpack slung over her shoulder. She carried the invisible weight of being the first woman to command an elite unit composed exclusively of men, Delta Force operators, the best of the best. Warriors who had spent years building bonds that most people couldn't understand. Men who had bled together, saved each other's lives, and developed an almost telepathic understanding in combat situations. And now she was supposed to lead them. The morning air was crisp and cold, carrying with it the scent of aviation fuel and gun oil. Elena took a deep breath, letting it fill her lungs, centering herself for what was to come. She had known this moment would be difficult from the second she received the orders. The promotion had come through official channels, stamped with all the appropriate signatures, but she knew the real story behind it. Politics, public pressure, a corruption scandal that had rocked the Special Operations community to its core. Colonel David Richards awaited her at the hangar entrance. His silhouette was backlit by the fluorescent lights inside. A veteran of 3 decades of service, his face was a roadmap of missions in Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, and a dozen other places that would never appear in official records. He had a neutral expression as he extended his hand, but Elena knew how to read the subtle language of military men. The slight tightness around his eyes, the fractional hesitation before the handshake, the way his jaw was set just a bit too firmly. Her appointment hadn't been unanimous. In fact, it had been imposed by high command after the corruption scandal that removed Commander Jacobson, a beloved figure who had led the unit for 8 years before being caught selling classified intelligence to foreign contractors. The unit was in disarray, morale was shattered, and trust had been broken. And instead of promoting from within, as tradition dictated, High Command had brought in an outsider, a woman, someone who represented everything these men had been trained to view with skepticism. "Captain Torres," Colonel Richards said, his voice gruff but not unkind. "Welcome to Fort Braxton. I trust your flight was uneventful?" "Yes, sir," Elena replied, meeting his gaze steadily. "Thank you for the reception." Richards nodded, gesturing toward the main building. "Your quarters are ready. We have a briefing in 1 hour. The men are curious about you." Elena caught the careful word choice, not excited, not welcoming, curious, like she was an interesting specimen to be studied and evaluated. She had expected nothing less. As they walked across the tarmac toward the main operations building, Elena observed everything. The way guards at the perimeter tracked her movement, the maintenance crews who stopped their work to watch her pass, the whispered conversations that ceased abruptly when she came within earshot. She was acutely aware that every step she took was being analyzed, judged, measured against an invisible standard that had been set long before she arrived. The base itself was impressive, a sprawling complex of buildings designed for one purpose: creating and maintaining the deadliest fighting force in the world. Shooting ranges, tactical training facilities, equipment warehouses, command centers with technology that most people didn't know existed. This was where legends were made, where ordinary men became extraordinary warriors, and where, apparently, one woman was about to face the fight of her career.
The briefing room was exactly what Elena expected: utilitarian, efficient, and intimidating in its simplicity. Maps covered the walls, topographical surveys of conflict zones across 3 continents. A massive digital screen dominated one wall, currently displaying the unit's operational statistics, kill ratios, mission success rates, 0 casualties in the last 14 months. These weren't just numbers, they were a testament to the brotherhood that had been built here. 18 men sat in chairs arranged in a semicircle, All of them turned to watch as Elena entered with Colonel Richards. The silence was immediate and oppressive, like walking into a wall of skepticism made tangible. She could feel the weight of their collective gaze, assessing every detail of her appearance, her posture, her bearing. Elena recognized the type immediately. These were operators, men who had survived selection processes that broke 90% of candidates, men who had jumped from planes at night into hostile territory, men who had cleared buildings where every shadow could hide death, men who had carried wounded brothers across miles of desert under enemy fire. They were bonded by experiences that civilians couldn't comprehend and wouldn't want to. And now they were being asked to trust their lives to someone who hadn't earned her place among them, or so they believed. Sergeant Jake Carver sat front and center, and Elena immediately identified him as the Alpha, the informal leader that every unit had, regardless of official rank structure. He was 42 years old, with a face that looked like it had been carved from granite and then broken and reassembled several times. A scar ran from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone, courtesy of shrapnel from an IED in Fallujah. His eyes were cold, calculating, and completely unimpressed. Beside him sat young Luke Morrison, only 24 years old, but already carrying himself with the quiet confidence of a proven warrior. 2 years in the unit, but he had distinguished himself in operations in Syria. He was watching Elena with open curiosity, less hostile than Carver, but no less skeptical.
There was Lieutenant Marcus Chen, second in command of Bravo Team, a tactical genius known for his ability to read terrain and predict enemy movements. Corporal James Bear Williams, the unit's heavy weapons specialist, who looked like he could bench press a small car. Sergeant First Class Antonio Rodriguez, the communications expert whose technical skills had saved countless operations from going dark. And 15 others, each one a specialist, each one a warrior who had earned their place through blood and sacrifice. Colonel Richards moved to the front of the room. Gentlemen, as you know, Command has assigned Captain Elena Torres as your new tactical commander. She comes to us with an impressive record. 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 in Iraq, decorated for valor under fire, expert in asymmetric warfare and counterterrorism operations. She has my full confidence, and I expect her to have yours as well. The statement hung in the air like a challenge. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. The silence stretched so long that Elena could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead and the distant sound of helicopters taking off from the airfield. Finally, Sergeant Carver shifted in his seat. He didn't stand, didn't salute, didn't show any of the traditional military courtesy. He simply looked at Elena with those cold, assessing eyes and said, "With all due respect, Colonel, this unit has been operating in sync for 5 years. We know each other's moves before we make them. We trust each other with our lives every single day. Introducing a new element, especially in a command position, it could compromise our efficiency, it could get people killed." The challenge was direct, bordering on insubordinate, but it was also exactly what Elena had expected. She didn't flinch, didn't show any sign of being rattled. Instead, she stepped forward, moving into the space between Carver and Colonel Richards, claiming her position. "Sergeant Carver," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "I understand your concern, I do. If I were in your position, I'd probably feel the same way. But let me be very clear about something. I'm not here to ask for your permission or your approval. I'm not here to make friends or win popularity contests. I'm here to command this unit to the best of my ability, to complete our missions, and to bring every single one of you home alive. That's my job. That's my only priority. And you're going to discover that I am very, very good at what I do." She let her words sink in, watching the reactions ripple through the room. Some men sat up straighter, reassessing. Others exchanged glances. Carver's expression didn't change, but she saw a flicker of something in his eyes. Not respect yet, but acknowledgement that she wasn't going to be intimidated. "I know what you're thinking," Elena continued, her voice softer now, but no less intense. You're wondering if I'm here because I earned it or because of politics. You're wondering if I can handle the pressure, if I'll fold when things get hard, if I'm going to get someone killed because I'm not as good as the man who came before me." She paused, making eye contact with each person in the room. "Those are fair questions, and I'm going to answer them the only way that matters, through my actions. Not my words, my actions."
She turned to Colonel Richards. "Sir, with your permission, I'd like to run a training exercise with the unit. Tomorrow morning, 0500 hours. I want to see how they operate, and they deserve to see what I can do." Richards nodded approvingly. "Granted. Gentlemen, you have your orders. Dismissed." The men filed out, most of them avoiding eye contact with Elena. But she noticed Luke Morrison glance back at her with something that might have been cautious interest. And Carver, as he passed, said in a voice just loud enough for her to hear, "We'll see, Captain. We'll see." When the room had emptied except for Richards, the colonel turned to her. "That went about as well as could be expected. Carver's going to be your biggest challenge. He was Jacobson's right hand for 6 years. Probably expected to be promoted to your position. He's taking this personally." "I know," Elena said, "but I can work with honest skepticism. It's the silent sabotage I'm worried about." Richard studied her for a moment. "You've done this before, haven't you? Walked into a situation where you weren't wanted?" Elena smiled without humor. "Sir, I've been doing it my entire career. It's nothing new."
That night, alone in her quarters, a Spartan room with a bed, a desk, and a locker, Elena allowed herself to feel the weight of what she had taken on. She sat on the edge of the bed, still in her uniform, and let the memories come flooding back. 5 years ago. A different unit, a different command structure, but the same resistance. She had been a lieutenant then, promoted to executive officer of a ranger company. The men hadn't wanted her there either. They had tested her, pushed her, tried to break her, and she had almost let them. There had been nights when she had cried alone in her quarters, wondering if she was making a mistake, if she should just quit and find a position where she would be welcomed rather than tolerated. But she hadn't quit. She had pushed through, and eventually, grudgingly, they had accepted her. Not because she was perfect, but because she had proved that she would bleed alongside them, that she would never ask them to take risks she wouldn't take herself, that she cared more about the mission and their lives than about her own ego. Then came the operation that changed everything. An extraction mission in the Kunar province of Afghanistan. Intelligence had indicated a clear path in and out. The intelligence had been wrong. They had walked into a trap, 30 insurgents waiting in ambush, RPGs and heavy machine guns tearing apart their convoy. Half her squad had been wounded in the first 30 seconds. And Elena had made the decision that would haunt her for years. Instead of retreating, she had pressed forward, believing they could fight through to their objective.
They had succeeded. They had completed the mission, but at a cost. 3 men died that day. Good men. Men who had families waiting for them at home. Men who had trusted her judgment. And Elena had carried that burden ever since. The knowledge that her decision, however tactically sound, had ended lives that could never be replaced. The official inquiry had cleared her of any wrongdoing. The after-action report had praised her leadership under fire. She had even been recommended for a Bronze Star. But none of that changed the fact that she lay awake some nights seeing the faces of those 3 men, hearing their last words over the radio, feeling the weight of command in a way that no training could prepare you for. That experience had forged her into something harder, something more calculating. She had learned that second-guessing yourself in combat got people killed just as surely as making the wrong decision. She had learned that leadership meant accepting that sometimes there were no good choices, only less bad ones. And she had learned that the only way to honor the dead was to learn from every mistake and never, ever repeat them. Now, Sitting in her quarters at Fort Braxton, Elena made a silent promise to herself and to the 18 men who didn't yet trust her. She would earn their respect. She would prove that she belonged here, and she would bring every single one of them home from every mission they undertook together. But first, she would have to survive tomorrow's training exercise, and she had no illusions that Carver and his allies would make it easy for her. The alarm went off at 04:30, but Elena was already awake. She had barely slept, her mind running through scenarios and contingencies. She dressed quickly in full tactical gear, plate carrier, load-bearing vest, helmet, rifle slung across her chest. She checked her equipment 3 times, a ritual she had developed over years of operations. Complacency killed, preparation saved lives. The sky was still dark when she arrived at the training facility, but the unit was already there, going through equipment checks with practiced efficiency. They moved like a well-oiled machine, barely needing to communicate because they had done this hundreds of times together. Elena watched them work, noting the small details, how Carver organized his team with subtle hand signals, how Luke double-checked his explosive charges, how Marcus briefed his squad leaders with quiet confidence. "Captain," Colonel Richards approached, carrying a tablet. "The exercise parameters are loaded. We've set up a compound simulation in Sector 7. Hostage rescue scenario, 18 enemy combatants, 2 HVTs to extract, multiple entry points. Your teams will be using sim rounds, so it'll feel real without the permanent consequences. My observation team will be monitoring and scoring." Elena nodded, taking the tablet and reviewing the mission brief. It was a standard scenario, the kind they probably run 100 times, which meant they would know exactly what to do. And if they wanted to make her look bad, they had plenty of opportunities to do so subtly. Forgotten radio checks, slightly delayed responses to orders, small coordination mistakes that would seem accidental but would result in mission failure. She had to assume they would try something. It's what she would do in their position. "Team leaders, rally on me," Elena called out, her voice carrying across the training ground. Carver, Marcus, and Rodriguez approached, their faces neutral but watchful. "Standard hostage rescue, but I'm changing the insertion plan. I've reviewed the compound layout, and the obvious entry points are too obvious. If this were a real operation, they'd be covered, probably mined or rigged with early warning systems." She pulled up the 3D model on the tablet, rotating it to show an overlooked section of the building. There's a drainage culvert on the northwest side. It's narrow, probably uncomfortable, but it opens into the building's lower level. I want Alpha Team to go in through there, while Bravo creates a diversion at the main entrance. We catch them between 2 fires, they panic, and we control the chaos.
Carver frowned. That culvert is marked as potentially unstable. Using it could compromise the whole operation if it collapses. "Then we move quickly and carefully," Elena replied. "Marcus, your team sets up the diversion at 05:20 hours exactly. Alpha Team will be in position by 05:18 hours. 2 minutes to get through the culvert and into position. When Bravo initiates, we execute immediately. Questions?" The 3 men exchanged glances. This wasn't the plan they had expected. It was unconventional, risky, and required perfect timing. Exactly the kind of thing that could either be brilliant or disastrous. "No questions, ma'am," Marcus said after a moment. "We'll be ready." As they dispersed to brief their teams, Elena caught Carver hanging back. He approached her, speaking quietly. "Captain, I understand you want to make a mark, show us you think differently. But these men's safety, even in a training exercise, is paramount. Are you sure about this?" Elena met his gaze steadily. "Sergeant, I'm never 100% sure about anything in combat. But I'm confident in my assessment, confident in my plan, and confident that your teams can execute it. If you have a tactical objection, I'm listening. But if this is about trust, then you need to understand something. Trust goes both ways. I'm trusting you to execute this properly. The question is whether you're willing to trust me enough to follow my lead." Carver held her gaze for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "We'll execute, Captain. But if this goes sideways, then it's on me," Elena finished. "Completely on me. I accept that responsibility." The infiltration began at 05:15 hours. Elena led Alpha Team, 6 operators, including Carver and Luke, toward the northwest approach. The terrain was rough, forcing them to move carefully through underbrush and over rocky ground. They communicated with hand signals only, maintaining noise discipline as if this were a real operation in enemy territory. The culvert entrance was smaller than Elena had hoped. She went first, dropping into the cramped concrete tunnel and immediately feeling water soaking through her uniform. The space was claustrophobic, barely large enough to move through in a low crawl. Behind her, she could hear the team following, their breathing heavy in the confined space. This was the moment. If Carver wanted to sabotage her, if the team wanted to make her look foolish, all they had to do was delay here, take their time, miss the timing. The plan would fall apart, and it would seem like her fault for choosing such an impractical insertion point. But they didn't. Behind her, Carver's voice came through the radio, quiet but steady. Alpha 2 through Alpha 6, maintain pace with Alpha 1. We're on schedule. They emerged into the building's basement at 05:18 hours exactly, just as planned. Elena immediately signaled for the team to take positions covering the stairwell. Above them, they could hear voices, the role players acting as guards, speaking in Arabic to make the scenario more realistic.
"Alpha, in position," Elena whispered into the radio. "Bravo, in position," Marcus responded. Elena checked her watch. 15 seconds. 10. 5. The explosion from the main entrance was deafening even from the basement. Shouting erupted from upstairs, feet pounding as the guards rushed toward the diversion. This was their window. "Alpha, move," Elena commanded, leading the way up the stairs. They flowed through the building like water, each operator covering angles, moving with practiced precision. Despite her unfamiliarity with their specific techniques, the fundamentals of close-quarters combat were universal, and Elena's instincts took over. They found the first hostage, a role player with his hands bound, playing the part of a captured intelligence officer. Luke immediately moved to secure him, while the rest of the team pushed forward. Sim rounds were flying now, the snap-pop-snap of non-lethal ammunition filling the air as they engaged the guards. Elena rounded a corner and came face-to-face with 2 guards. Her muscle memory took over. 2 controlled pairs, center mass, both targets down. She didn't stop moving, flowing through the space like she had been doing this her whole life, because she had. "Second hostage located southwest room," Carver called out. "Moving to you," Elena responded, leading half the team toward his position. They stacked up outside the door, and Elena made a split-second decision based on the intel she had reviewed. Flashbang first, then breach. Luke tossed the non-lethal bang into the room. Even knowing it was coming, the simulation was disorienting, light and sound that would, in reality, temporarily incapacitate everyone inside. They entered fast, sim rounds taking down 3 guards while Carver secured the second hostage. "Package secure," Carver announced. "Exfil route clear." The entire operation had taken 7 minutes from breach to extraction. As they emerged from the building with both hostages, Colonel Richards and his observation team were waiting, tablets in hand, showing the scoring metrics. Richards studied the data, his expression unreadable. Then he looked up at Elena, and she saw the smallest hint of a smile. "Captain Torres." That was unconventional. The insertion through the culvert added significant risk, but the execution was flawless. Mission time was 3 minutes faster than this unit's previous best. 0 casualties. Both targets extracted successfully. The evaluation team scored it as a textbook operation. Elena didn't smile. She simply nodded. "It was a team effort, sir. I provided the plan, but these operators executed it perfectly." She turned to Carver, extending her hand. "Good work, Sergeant. Your team's discipline made the difference." Carver looked at her hand for a moment, then took it. His grip was firm, and while there wasn't warmth in his eyes, there was something else. A grudging acknowledgement. "Unusual plan, Captain, but it worked. I'll give you that." It wasn't trust. Not yet.
but it was a crack in the wall, a small opening, and Elena would take it.
5 days passed. 5 days of intense training, of Elena observing how the unit operated, of slowly building rapport with individual members, even as Carver remained coolly professional. She learned their rhythms, their habits, their strengths and weaknesses. Luke was brilliant with explosives, but sometimes overconfident. Marcus had perfect tactical instincts, but occasionally struggled with snap decisions under extreme pressure. Rodriguez could hack any system, but got tunnel vision when focused on technical problems. And Carver? Carver was the steady anchor, the one the others looked to when things got chaotic. But he also carried the weight of loyalty to their previous commander, and Elena could see him struggling between his sense of duty and his personal reservations about her leadership. Then, at 0300 hours on day 6, everything changed. The alarm tore through the base with a harsh, insistent wail. Elena was awake instantly, years of conditioning making the transition from sleep to full alertness almost instantaneous. She grabbed her phone and saw the emergency code flashing. Red Alpha. Real-world crisis. All personnel to Operations Center immediately. She dressed in 90 seconds flat and was running across the compound toward ops within 2 minutes of the alarm. The building was ablaze with light, personnel streaming in from all directions. Inside, the main operations room was controlled chaos. Duty officers coordinating communications, intelligence analysts pulling up satellite feeds, commanders gathering around the central display. Colonel Richards stood at the center, his face grim in the blue-white glow of the screens. "Captain Torres, glad you're here. We have a situation." He gestured to the main display, which showed a satellite view of a compound near the Colombian border. 2 hours ago, the Sinaloa Cartel's Special Enforcement Wing, Los Matadores, hit a diplomatic convoy traveling from Bogota to Cartagena. They weren't after money, they were after people, specifically Ambassador Patricia Morrison and her security team. Elena's blood ran cold. Morrison. Luke's sister. She glanced across the room and saw the young operator standing frozen, staring at the screen with a face drained of color. Richards continued. 12 hostages total. Ambassador Morrison, her daughter Emily, 8 years old, Ambassador Chen from Taiwan, and 9 security personnel. Los Matadores are holding them at a fortified compound in the jungle. They're demanding the release of 50 cartel members currently in custody, 10 million in cryptocurrency, and safe passage to Venezuela. The deadline is 2100 hours tonight. After that, they've promised to execute 1 hostage every hour.
The room was silent, except for the hum of electronics. Then Carver spoke up, his voice tight. "Sir, what's our authorization?" "Full operational authority from the President himself. The Colombian government has granted us temporary sovereignty over the operational area. This is our mission, and failure is not an option. Captain Torres, you'll be taking tactical command." The statement landed like a physical blow. Every eye in the room turned to Elena. She saw the calculation happening in real time. This was a Category 5 operation, the most dangerous type of mission they undertook. Complex terrain, hardened targets, civilian hostages, extreme time pressure, and an enemy that was known for its brutality and tactical sophistication. The cartel didn't just have thugs with guns, they had ex-military operators, former special forces from half a dozen countries, mercenaries who knew how to fight because they had been trained by the same people who would be coming for them. This was the test, the real test, and everyone knew it. Carver stepped forward, his face carefully neutral, but his posture tense. "Sir, with all respect, this is a Category 5 mission. Perhaps we should consider a commander with more operational experience, specifically in cartel situations. Someone who knows the terrain, knows these people." He left the implication hanging. Someone like him. Someone who wasn't an untested outsider. Elena felt every person in the room waiting to see how she would respond. She could feel the weight of their doubt, their fear that she would fail, that their brothers in arms would die because high command had put politics above capability. She understood it. Hell, part of her even agreed with it. But another part of her, the part that had survived ambushes and fought through impossible situations, the part that had been forged in fire and blood, knew that this was her moment. Not to prove she was better than anyone else, but to prove she was good enough. that she belonged here, that she could lead these men through hell and bring them back alive.
"Sergeant Carver," she said, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "The colonel gave an order. Are you questioning the chain of command?" The room went even quieter, if that was possible. Carver's jaw tightened, and for a moment she thought he might push back, might force a confrontation that would undermine everything before the mission even began. But then his military training, years of discipline and respect for hierarchy, reasserted itself. "No, ma'am, I'm not questioning the chain of command." "Good," Elena said, turning to Richards. "Sir, I need everything intelligence has on this compound: structural analysis, guard rotations, sight lines, approach routes, historical data on Los Matadores tactics. I need current satellite imagery updated every 10 minutes. I need weather forecasts for the operational area, and I need this unit wheels up in 6 hours. Can you give me that?" Richards nodded. "You'll have everything you need, Captain. Make it count." "I intend to, sir." Elena turned to the unit. "Team leaders, I want a planning session in Conference Room B in 30 minutes. Intelligence analysts, start pulling everything we have on Los Matadores. Known capabilities, weapons preferences, tactical patterns. Comms, start coordinating with Colombian military for air support and emergency extraction protocols. We have 6 hours to plan this, and I want to use every second. Questions?" Nobody spoke. They were watching her, assessing, judging, but they were also moving, falling into their roles, doing their jobs. It wasn't trust, but it was compliance, and right now, that would have to be enough. As the room dispersed into organized chaos, Elena caught Luke Morrison standing motionless, staring at the image of the compound on the screen. She walked over to him, speaking quietly. "Luke, I need you to hear this, and I need you to really understand it. We are going to get your sister and your niece back, both of them, alive. I promise you that." Luke turned to look at her, and she saw the raw fear in his eyes. "Captain, how can you promise that? You don't know what we're walking into. You don't know if—" "I know," Elena interrupted gently but firmly, "because I will not accept any other outcome. I will plan for every contingency. I will consider every angle, and I will lead this team through that operation with one singular focus: bringing those hostages home. All of them. Your sister, your niece, every single person in that compound. That's not just a mission objective. That's a personal commitment from me to you. Do you believe me?" Luke searched her face, looking for any sign of uncertainty or false bravado. Whatever he saw there must have satisfied him because he nodded slowly. "Yes, ma'am, I believe you." "Good. Now I need you to do your job. I need you to be the professional operator I know you are. Can you do that?" "Yes, ma'am, I can do that." "Then let's get to work."
Conference Room B became a war room. Maps covered every available surface. Laptops displayed streaming satellite feeds. Intelligence reports piled up as analysts worked frantically to provide every piece of data that might be relevant. Elena stood at the center of it all, absorbing information with intense focus, her mind working through scenarios and contingencies at a pace that surprised even her. The compound was a nightmare from a tactical perspective. Built into a hillside in dense jungle, it had been designed specifically to resist assault. 3-meter-high concrete walls topped with razor wire. Guard towers at each corner with overlapping fields of fire. Only 2 access roads, both easily monitored and defended. The main building was reinforced concrete, windows fitted with bars, designed more like a bunker than a residence. Intelligence estimated 40 to 50 cartel soldiers on site, armed with military-grade weapons, including RPGs and heavy machine guns. "It's a fortress," Marcus observed grimly, studying the imagery. "Attacking from any conventional approach would be suicide. They'd cut us down before we got within 100 meters of the walls." "Then we don't use a conventional approach," Elena said, manipulating the 3D model on the display. She had been staring at these images for 90 minutes, and something had been bothering her. Something that didn't quite fit with the rest of the compound's design. "Here," she said,
pointing to a section of the northern perimeter. This area. Look at the vegetation patterns.
Carver leaned in, frowning. It's jungle. What are we supposed to be seeing? Exactly, it's jungle. But look at how the vegetation is disturbed here, in a linear pattern running parallel to the compound wall. And see these marks? She zoomed in on tire tracks barely visible through the canopy. Heavy vehicle traffic, recent. But according to the structural analysis, there's nothing in that area. No buildings, no parking area. Nothing that would explain that level of activity. Rodriguez pulled up older satellite imagery, comparing it to the current feeds. Holy shit, she's right. In images from 3 months ago, this area shows different vegetation patterns. Something changed. Something was built or modified recently, and they're camouflaging it. Elena's mind was racing. Pull up the topographical surveys. I want to see what's underneath that area. The analyst worked quickly, overlaying geological survey data with the satellite imagery. And there it was, a subtle but unmistakable depression in the terrain, running from the compound toward the nearby river system. It's a tunnel, Elena said with certainty. They built an escape tunnel, probably after the Colombian military started cracking down on cartel operations in this region. They want a way to evacuate quickly if the compound is attacked, to disappear into the jungle before anyone can respond. Carver was nodding slowly, seeing where she was going with this. If we can find the exit point, then we can use their own escape route against them. We go in through the tunnel, hit them from inside their supposedly impregnable fortress while they're expecting any attack to come from outside. Marcus pulled up more imagery, tracking the probable path of the tunnel. If we're right about this, the exit is here, about 2 kilometers north of the compound, right on the riverbank. Perfect for a quick water extraction if they needed it. That's where we insert, Elena said, the plan crystallizing in her mind with sudden clarity. 3 teams. Alpha team, that's me, Carver, Luke, Williams, Jackson, and Torres. We go in through the tunnel. Bravo team, led by Marcus, you set up a perimeter on the southern approach, make noise, create the impression of a frontal assault, make them think that's where the main threat is coming from. Charlie team, Rodriguez leading, you provide overwatch from the eastern ridge, sniper support, communications relay, and emergency extraction coordination.
She manipulated the display, showing movement patterns and timing. Bravo initiates at exactly 20:15 hours. That gives us 5 hours until the deadline, so the cartel will be tense, but not desperate yet. While they're focused on Bravo's diversion, Alpha moves through the tunnel and into the compound. We locate the hostages. Intelligence indicates they're being held in the main building's basement, which makes sense for security. We secure them, then signal for a coordinated assault from all 3 teams simultaneously. We catch the cartel in a crossfire they never saw coming, rescue the hostages in the confusion, and extract through the tunnel before they can reorganize. She paused, looking around the room at the faces of her team leaders. It's risky, it's unconventional, and it requires perfect timing and execution. But it's also our best chance of getting those hostages out alive. What am I missing? Poke holes in this plan. It was Carver who spoke first, and Elena was surprised to hear not dismissal, but thoughtful consideration in his voice. The tunnel is the biggest unknown. We don't know its condition, whether it's guarded, whether there are security systems. If we get stuck in there, or if they detect us before we're in position, we're trapped with no room to maneuver. Agreed, Elena said, which is why Alpha Team goes in light and fast, minimum equipment, suppressed weapons only, absolute noise discipline. And we send a scout ahead with fiber optic cameras to check the tunnel before we commit the whole team. Marcus nodded. The diversion has